Cool. Hello. Welcome to Tips and Tits number 5. The NUM Impact Report was released earlier this year, so we thought we'd stop by and let you know what was in that report. There is a link to the full thing in the description if you would like a little bit more information. That is fine. So we're going to start off with our mission and core values. Our mission is to end all violence against all sex workers, whether it's physical violence or structural violence, harassment in any form, on or offline. We have some core values that include compassion. You know, we want to treat members and staff with care, patience, and understanding. We aim to provide non-judgmental support and work together to manage the risks, mitigate harm, and support victims of crime in ways that they determine. You know, we want to listen to what they need and provide that. We also aim to be inclusive. We respect and welcome diverse identities, ways of being. We need to make sure that we're valuing the lives, communities, and the rights to self-determination that sex workers have and will hopefully always have. As an organisation, we can bring knowledge, skills, and expertise to help work towards positive progress to help end violence against sex workers. In that, we endeavour to be proactive and innovative in how we serve our members. It's all about our members. While we're doing all of this, we're aiming to be as honest, transparent and fair in our interactions with members. We're always open to feedback, and we always aim to fill gaps in knowledge or experience in the ways that our members request. It's very important to us that we listen and then help if we can. So NUM is for all sex workers, indoor sex workers, street-based sex workers, brothel agency workers. We have a whole variety and a whole spectrum of members. At the minute, most of our reports are from independent full-service sex workers, and we're glad of that, but we'd like to also invite other sectors, especially cammers and strippers, to use our report and our alert system. It is there for everyone to help protect and warn other sex workers. So you don't have to just report clients, you can report managers, you can report cops, you can report anyone you wish that you had been warned about. Our services are tailored based on how our members describe their needs, and that is very important to us. I'm going to pass you over now for some numbers.
Right, let me give you a super quick overview of numbers just to give you an idea of how big NUM is. So as of the 31st of December 2019, we had a total of 7,567 members. Today we are over 7,700 members and continuously growing, which is wonderful and which we're very grateful for. So that includes 82% who are identifying as sex workers. That involves sex workers of different genders, sexualities, and also very different sectors. As we've just heard, NUM is there for all kinds of sex workers, and those 82% include all the different variety, like all the different kinds of sex workers that are out there. The other 18% are made up of organizations, projects, and third parties. So that includes projects that support sex workers in some way, shape, or form, including with sexual health, like sexual health clinics, but also support in any other way that sex workers will access. And it also means third parties, so that would include people who manage brothels or agencies, for example, and who want to receive our alerts to pass them on to the sex workers that work for them or with them. What's also quite important to mention here is that all of our membership applications are vetted manually in order to make sure that the information that you share with us in the reports that you make to NUM stays with sex workers and the people that work with sex workers, so that no journalists or clients or the perpetrators could access the information that you have given to NUM. in order to warn other sex workers. Yeah, I think I can pass on to the RATNA member.
Thank you. So what happens once you become a member of NUM? You can either subscribe to receive alerts. They can be texted to your phone number, or you can receive them in emails. You can receive them in batches, like once per week, or you can receive each alert individually as it comes out. However, the important thing to know about alerts is that they are created from the reports that sex workers make to NUM, and not every report is then turned into the alert. Sometimes that's because the caseworker who received the report lacks some essential information to make the alert. And sometimes because there was no consent from the victim to turn the report into the alert. Often that happens where a sex worker makes the report not directly to NUM, but through a service provider, such as a sex work project that they walk in and report to a caseworker there, and a caseworker later fills in the form for NUM, but the consent is missing. So if you would like to report something to NUM and you want that report to be turned into an alert for all sex workers in your area, remember to give your consent for that. But also remember that if you want to report something to NUM, you don't need to be a NUM member. You can simply call one of the caseworkers or email them, and they will take a report from you. The reports that turn into alerts help, but there are other things that NUM has in place to help you stay safe at work. And we know that a lot of NUM members use the email checker and the number checker. These things you only have access to once you're a NUM member. These are behind the membership wall. And yes, in 2019, NUM has received a total of 991 reports. And remember that this does not include only violent crimes. Things such as stalking and harassment can cause people just as much aggravation because they keep on going for longer. You can report literally anything to NUM that was perpetrated against you at work. And please remember that say you're a cammer and you might think that somebody using a racial slur against you at work does not will not affect other sex workers, but same as there is so much fluidity in sex work with people going from one sex work sector to another, literally sometimes within days. The same happens with clients, and if your client on cam used racial slurs against you, they will likely do the same in the face of a brothel worker or an independent worker that they go and see in person. And who knows, maybe in person they will be even more aggressive. So always keep in mind that same as sex workers travel, so do the clients and the perpetrators. And on the next slide, we are going to talk about what happens once you do contact NUM and report something. In fact, we asked one of the caseworkers, Hannah, to tell you a little about her work and what exactly they do. Let's listen to that.
My name's Hannah, and I am one of the victim support caseworkers here at National Ugly Mugs. Today, I'm just going to talk a little bit about our casework support. Our digital casework is novel, and it took years to find funders willing to invest in our innovative approach to reaching off-street and online sex working populations. We are person-to-person focused. This means our support is provided through email and telephone. The casework team are responsive to the needs of individual sex workers and provide tailored, in-depth, emotional and practical support, either from report right through to court or or simply a listening ear. Caseworkers are experienced and qualified practitioners who provide support in keeping with the code of practice for victims of crime. Alongside a non-judgmental listening ear, the type of support offered by the NUM casework team is immediate safeguarding, emotional or practical support, information about criminal justice pathway, support to report to police, and help to access local services. The casework team supports those who wish to engage in the criminal justice process and those who do not. All sexual offence victims are provided details of their local sexual assault referral centre and how to access this, with the offer of NUM arranging appointments on their behalf. Victims are urged to contact 999 in an emergency and provided tailored safety information where appropriate. Every individual member who reports an incident to NUM is provided standard support, contacted via email, offering emotional support, choice of reporting to the police, and NUM advocacy and local services information. Our in-depth support is something taken up after initial contact, and this can be navigating the criminal justice system, providing emotional support to aid recovery, or helping accessing local sexual health clinics or services. To speak with a member of the casework team, you can email us at casework@uglymugs.org or phone us on 0161 629 9861.
Thank you. That was Hannah. Now let's see what we can tell you about our engagement with police and other organizations. Well, first of all, when it comes to police, police are not members of NUM, will never be members of NUM. NUM understands the vulnerability of sex workers to structural violence, and any involvement with police, whether in person or otherwise, once you report something to NUM, will only be done with your consent and once you are fully informed by the caseworker what exactly it's going to involve. However, what does happen is that UK police forces can submit reports to NUM, and these reports will later be disseminated as alerts to all the sex workers in the area. Sometimes those are reports that sex workers have made directly to the police, and the police are now sharing with NUM to alert everybody in the area. And sometimes those are reports of violence against women that has been committed in the area. And the police think that the perpetrator may well target sex workers. You will usually see these reports, these alerts, because they look different. They are not anonymized as the usual alerts are. The reports that we receive from police are usually very detailed, sometimes with a mugshot of the perpetrator or a sketch. And speaking of the anonymization of alerts, what happens once you make a report is that a caseworker turns it into anonymous alert, where all the information about you is removed, so that if by any chance at all the perpetrator gets to see this alert, it's impossible to tell who exactly made that report, so that the victim does not suffer the consequences of reporting the perpetrator. And moving on to the organizations that NUM work with, they are sex worker support organizations or projects throughout the country that often engage with street-based sex workers. So they can receive reports from street-based sex workers and pass them on to NUM, or they will collect the alerts from NUM and then disseminate them to the street-based sex workers who come to them for condoms and other support. Another thing that NUM does these days is community education programs, where we speak to both police forces and service providers to try to inform them on how to make them more sex worker friendly and how to make sure that the services that they provide can be accessed by a larger number of sex workers. And let's see what happens in the next slide.
Right, let's have a super quick look at the future and what we're planning in our new project. So as we have just heard, we have the community education project going on, where we have already been speaking to police constabularies all over the country, and will continue to do so and further develop these trainings, as well as introduce a package for practitioners, meaning social projects, support projects, and anyone who works to support sex workers in any way, shape or form. So that's one of the big two projects, and the other big project that we are currently working on is the digital build, where we in 2019 we got awarded funding to embark an exciting 3-year project. We are hoping to launch our new website in December of 2020. Just in order to make reporting and also the alerts and everything that we provide more accessible to everyone, and involve the sex working community even more into our work. The R&D team is a huge part of all these processes and is informing all of these processes that are going on. So if you would like some more information on especially those two projects, I would recommend you watch the last webinar that we put online, where we speak a little bit more about what the R&D team is doing at the moment.
Cool. So back to me. This whole thing, really, we want to hammer home the point that we listen to our members. We always want to hear feedback. When it comes to things like the new website that we're working on, if there is a way we can make it more accessible that you think maybe we haven't thought of, do always feel free to get in touch. You don't have to be a member, but membership is free. You can always email us. We've got our Twitter on there, or phone numbers. We've got as well some information on the casework team, Hannah and Carolyn. They have been available throughout the pandemic and COVID-19. They will continue to be available during those hours posted on the screen there. Although, just speaking of COVID-19, we are also at the minute offering things like food vouchers. We can offer you assistance with benefits applications and all the forms that you need to fill in. We can also help direct you to local resources. So if you don't know where your local food bank is, or you don't know where your local sexual health centre is, get in touch. We can help you with that too. If you're a little bit strapped for cash, we can signpost you towards hardship funds and mutual aid funds. We recognise that this has been a horrendously difficult time for sex workers all over the country and all over the world, and we're going to try and help as best we can. In the meantime, I think that's about it. Just remember, membership is free. Make sure you wash your hands and look after one another as best you can.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.